Bethesda has kicked off a 6-week campaign in support of children's mental health and wellness. And joining me in the studio is Emily Jones, the registered psychotherapist. So Emily, when did the campaign officially start and what is the overall goal?
So I think we're officially wanting to launch the campaign tomorrow. So you'll start to see some of those videos. And the overall goal of the campaign is to just get information out to the public that Bethesda offers supports and services in our mental health department for children and youth, primarily with autism, but also to their caregivers as well.
And so what tools does Bethesda provide specifically for children who are in need of emotional development and, some of those strengthening coping skills?
Yeah, so the awesome thing about Bethesda is that we're trying to help individuals who have autism but also have some mental health challenges. And so some of those things that we're offering are individual counseling, sometimes we're doing family counseling, sometimes we're doing couples counseling depending on what it is. And so we're really wanting to take into account the unique challenges of individuals with autism and be able to modify the supports that we're providing to be able to support them the best that we can.
And I know there'll be people asking, where can they go for this free consultation?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, BethesdaServices.com, or they can give us a call, extension 170, to our service coordinators, and they would be able to direct them to where they can reach out to receive a free consultation and chat with our team about the supports that we offer.
And what I love about Bethesda is, you're always there to help. You also have services for adults with autism as well, all of that obviously available on the website. And what's exciting is that Bethesda has collaborated with YourTV in order to provide some quick tips about tangible strategies that can be used at home. So why don't you just tell me a bit about how did you go about choosing some of those tips?
Yeah, so the supervisor actually who trained me initially when I was doing my master's degree, he is a neuropsychologist, and he always told me, think brain first when you're thinking about things, especially when you're working with children with developmental disabilities. And so when I was thinking about the tips that I was coming up with, I was thinking brain first. And so a lot of those tips we relate back to the brain, how we understand the brain, and then strategies that we can then use as a result of our understanding we have of the brain. And so that's kind of a neuroscience perspective that you'll see, but in a way that the audience can understand.
And what I like about this so much is that there are going to be a lot of parents and caregivers of children who don't have autism or developmental disability that are going to be able to pull from this as well.
Exactly.
I'm very much looking forward to this. So why don't you provide us a bit of a brief description of what's going to be covered over the next 6 weeks? Maybe you can give us some insight into a couple of those tips.
Yeah, so one of them we're going to be talking about is sleep and the importance of sleep and sleep hygiene and how to get better sleep. We know that that's really important for folks. We're also going to talk about the stress response and the amygdala and how that's kind of the alarm system in our brain and how we can use a strategy called 5 senses to kind of calm that alarm system down. We're also going to talk a little bit about autism and autistic burnout, which is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm really excited for those folks to see that. And so it's going to be really exciting, I think, and I hope people find it to be enjoyable, but also insightful, and they can apply it to their lives.
Oh, I am one of those. I'm very excited, and I can guarantee it's going to be insightful. So what advice would you give to some caregivers who are just simply so overwhelmed and not sure where to start or where to ask for help?
Yeah, well, I want to validate that that can be really challenging, especially if your child is struggling with their mental health. It can be really hard to start that conversation with them, and then your next step is, where do I go for support? And so to that I say, reach out to Bethesda, give us a call. Our service coordinators are happy to support and point them in the right direction.
So the first topic, which you also kind of told us about here, of this 6-part video series, is about understanding autism and autistic burnout. So before we go to the clip, can you talk to us about autism and maybe some of the misconceptions about what it means or looks like when a child or young adult is autistic?
Yeah, so autism is a neurodevelopmental condition. It can be understood as individuals with social challenges, so maybe understanding what's going on in a social situation when you're interacting with people. It can be sort of black and white thinking, so I think things have to be this way or have to be that way. Sometimes we also see things like sensory concerns, and so things are really too bright in a room or too loud. And Honestly, as a mental health provider working with individuals with autism, I would say the biggest misconception that I see is that individuals with autism can't benefit from mental health services. And that's a really unfortunate misconception that I see out there, and I want to be a person to say that's absolutely not true. You just have to really understand autism and be willing to put in the work to modify your session to be able to support them. So for example, sometimes a person with autism, it's too challenging for them to sit in a room and talk face to face like we are right now. And so as a result of that, I get them up and moving. Maybe I'm talking to them about an emotion regulation strategy in the gym, or I'm out back at our swings and we're swinging on the swings, or we're going for a walk, or sometimes I've had individuals bring in a guitar that they play and they're playing their guitar and we're incorporating that into the session. Sometimes I'm in their home in their backyard talking to them. And so I think at Bethesda we really pride ourselves on being able to modify things and meet our clients where they're at to get them to their goals.
And I think it's also important to know there is a scale here. And some people, parents or caregivers hear autism and don't know what that means or, what it's going to mean for their child.
Yeah, definitely.
And so when you explain to them, there's a lot going on here. It could mean some parts, maybe your child struggles with this, but is fine with other parts. And is that something that you'll be touching on?
Definitely, like a strength-based approach to things, right? That maybe they have some challenges here, but where are their strengths and how can we sort of bank on those and use their strengths to help them thrive in their day-to-day lives?
Okay. Well, thank you for all the services that the team there at Bethesda does.